must unlearn what you have learned.
Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid. Do it. Do it.
You failed. I am a Jedi. Like my father.
What's going on, everyone? Robert from the Remote Control and Star Wars Talk here. So this is kind of weird here. Camera angle's not great. Not the best camera. You can see my apartment behind me and whatnot. I just felt that I needed to really bring up and talk about everything that has happened over the past week with Lucasfilm. Actually, it's been more like the past few years. We've been seeing a lot of different things going on. So Colton isn't with us here. He's the normal host for Star Wars Talk. We're going to be talking about it next week on our podcast, but I just wanted to get some thoughts out there now for everyone who is a Star Wars fan who just is curious of what's going on. I mean, I don't want to call them problems, but it seems like it has been for the past however many years now. What is it? 5 years since Lucasfilm has been bought by Disney. I mean, it started off when Michael Arndt was initially brought on to do the script for Star Wars Episode 7. Some things happen with the script. Again, that wasn't too bad. Kind of stuff goes on with movie industry, and things will happen where they want to change direction of a script. However, he was then booted, and J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan redid the script for the most part. Now, Arndt does actually have, I think, a writing credit on the film because I think they did keep some of his stuff, but for the most part, J.J. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan took over, and then they did rewrites during the downtime they had when Harrison Ford was off on injury. So Episode 7 didn't have that much turmoil. There was a little bit there. Then you have Rogue One with Gareth Edwards and how they changed directors near the end of the film to reshoot the end of that film and really change the tone a little bit. I mean, once you know that, if you actually watch the movie, you will see that there is a not tonally different, but you can tell it's not exactly how it was shot earlier. You can definitely see there's a bit of a change. So that's one thing that I noticed. And, again, it's not a bad thing, but there had to have been some kind of realization at some point that, okay, maybe the vision of Gareth Edwards wasn't what Cathy Kennedy or the Lucasfilm Star Wars story group didn't want, or it just wasn't matching up. So, again, I'm not sure exactly what happened with that. However, now we sit here and, Rogue One, excellent movie. Force Awakens, excellent movie. Everybody loves them. Critically and financially successful films. Episode 8, started going on with Rian Johnson, and everything up to this point has gone swimmingly. There's been no issues, no problems. Nobody's ever really complained, ever said anything that there was issues on the sets, whether it's script, directing, anything like that. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that we don't hear any bad news or anything come. We're just a few months away from that release. Let's see. The Han Solo flick. Obviously, we know what's been going on there with Chris Miller and Phil Lord. Sorry, Chris Miller and Phil Lord. Being booted 5 months after production started. They got that deep into the process of making the movie, and then all of a sudden, we don't agree on what you're doing. And now they, hire Ron Howard. He comes in and is doing extensive reshoots, and he's kind of putting everybody at ease with a lot of the tweets that he's been throwing out. If you don't follow Ron Howard on Twitter and you are a Star Wars fan, I suggest you do it, because there's a lot of awesome tweets that he's been sending out there in regards to the Han Solo film and everything like that, which is pretty promising. He seems to be excited and doing the right thing to get everybody else excited and get away from the nervousness that everybody's had with all the turmoil around that. Not only was there the problem with the director, though, There was also the problem with the acting of Alden Ehrenreich, supposedly, that his acting just wasn't matching up to what the vision of Han Solo is, and how he was created by Harrison Ford in the 70s, and just played almost to perfection each film that he was in. And you have to wonder, okay, is that gonna get fixed with Ron Howard? How much of the movie are they going to keep? Everything like that. So hopefully that's something that is taken care of as well. And then this week we heard that Colin Trevorrow they parted ways, Lucasfilm and Colin Trevorrow. Now, I think that's just Disney and Lucasfilm playing nice, saying, look, we've had creative differences. We're going to go our separate ways. And that happened. And, obviously I think, and a lot of speculation, who's going to direct. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But again, what is going on with these creative differences? Like, they tagged Colin Trevorrow 2 years ago to be the director of Star Wars Episode 9. Now, I know things go through changes over time, and scripts change. Obviously, with the passing of Carrie Fisher, the script had to change drastically, I'm sure. However, removing a character should not change the vision as much as what it sounds like was changed for Trevorrow and Lucasfilm to be on completely different pages. So I know a lot of people are trying to say, oh, it's Carrie Fisher's death, they couldn't get it set. So over these past 2 years that they've had Colin Trevorrow there, obviously I know he went and made a couple movies, or not a couple, but he Book of Henry he made, and unfortunately it did not do well critically or financially. I have yet to see it, but I sit here and think, like, I can't believe that that's the reason why this happened like that. Jurassic World was fantastic. In some eyes, some people don't think it's that great. I really enjoy Jurassic World. But then you sit there, and then he has another movie, The Book of Henry, that doesn't do well. I can't imagine that that's what it was that caused them to say, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. There has to be something else. There has to be something going on. And why? I mean, they are already in pre-production for Episode 9. I mean, when you're 4 months out from shooting, that's pre-production is in full swing, and production, principal photography, all that's supposed to start in January, I believe. So they're getting close, and you're going to need to get a director signed on soon. Now, I do think that this has been in the works for a while. I think that they kind of wanted to distance themselves from the Han Solo debacle, get everybody all comfortable, all the fans comfortable with Ron Howard taking over before they announce this. And I predict probably within the next week or two that they are going to announce who the director of Episode 9 is. Only because they want to get it out before the mad marketing push for The Last Jedi gets going. And I mean, in my opinion, Force Friday was the sign of that. Force Friday was the day, like, oh, here's the marketing for The Last Jedi. It's moving forward. It's going crazy. It's going on. This is going, and it has. I mean, we've gotten all the toys, and we got the Empire magazine article and headlines and stuff like that. And there's only going to be more over the next couple months with trailers and more magazine covers and tickets going on sale, everything like that. So I think they're going to want to get that information on who's going to direct The Last Jedi out before that marketing push happens, especially because The Last Jedi comes out in December and production starts in January for the Episode 9. So, sitting there, who could possibly direct? Actually, you know what? I'm going to step back because I did skip something. There was one other debacle that happened that kind of flew under the radar with Lucasfilm, and that was the firing of Josh Trank, who was supposedly rumored and supposed to direct the Boba Fett standalone film that was actually supposed to go in production before the Han Solo film was even considered or put into on the fast track or what have you. And that we all know what happened with Josh Trank with Fantastic Four, and how he destroyed an apartment that he was staying in while filming the Fantastic Four, and how he didn't work with Fox on making sure that their vision was met in his vision and everything like that. So again, just more turmoil, more craziness within Lucasfilm. And I asked the question on Facebook, quite a few Facebook page group pages actually, was, is Cathy Kennedy right for the job? Should they consider moving on from her resume speaks for itself. I mean, she has been involved in films since the 80s, and great films, E.T., Indiana Jones, almost every Spielberg film that you can think of that's been amazing, she's been a part of. So you sit there and you think, okay, her resume is fantastic, but that's as a producer kind of sitting in the background, making, again, I don't know, because producer can mean multiple things. It can mean that they just go get financing. They could just be a name on the movie just to help promote it. Or it could be the person who's really getting everything put together. I don't know what she had done on most of those movies, but a lot of what I've heard and what you see and read is that she was kind of the forefront of a lot of those films, and the one who helped make them and get them pushed forward and everything like that. So what is it with this? Is this just too large for her? Is this just the universe just too big for her to handle? I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it is, and maybe they can't even figure it out, because there's something going on at Lucasfilm. I'm happy that they got this Colin Trevorrow thing figured out early enough, because I don't want them to be 4 months into production of that film and decide, you know what, sorry, but you're not working out for us. We're gonna have to get somebody else. The episode 9 is the final film in this trilogy, and it needs to set a certain meet a certain expectation. It's set, but meet a certain expectation, because for all we know, again, we don't know what Lucasfilm's plans are, but that could be the last episodic film for quite some time, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, however they want to do it. It could be the final episodic film for a while, and you want to leave on a high note. And I hope that they actually do this or do that. I think the best way, two directors come to mind for me. I know there's a lot of people out there talking, George Lucas, J.J. Abrams, just different things like that. And then they're talking about some of the, lesser known people, lesser known directors and stuff like that. They're not going to get a lesser known. I just don't see that happening because of the expectation it has to meet. Not only that, but with how highly they've been talking about The Last Jedi, I think it only makes sense to try and get Rian Johnson to come back on for episode 9. Let him finish off his story. Don't get me wrong, what J.J. Abrams did with episode 7 was phenomenal. He did a great job. I don't want to see it go from J.J. Abrams to Rian Johnson to J.J. Abrams, because I think tonally they both have different styles when they make the films, and I want it to grow. I think tonally the way episode 7 worked out perfectly for what they were doing, and reestablishing the Star Wars universe and getting those people and fans back into the mix and the fold. Rian Johnson is going to take it to a much darker place, and depending on if you want to believe the Star Wars ring theory, episode 9 should probably be a dark film similar to Revenge of the Sith. And if that's the case, I don't see J.J. Abrams being able to bring that. I mean, he's a very talented director, but I don't see him being able to bring that exactly to the fold for episode 9. So again, I think Rian Johnson is the best choice for that. With that said, if they cannot get Rian Johnson, and I don't know what the possibility is of this even happening, because he has actually worked with Disney most recently. Actually, I want to say it was last year with a film. But I would love to see Spielberg finally get a shot at a Star Wars movie. And I think this would be the perfect time to do that. If they cannot get Rian Johnson to do it, maybe he has a pet project he wants to work on, or maybe he just wants to back off. Maybe it was too much for him. Don't get me wrong. He is a huge fan. There was a podcast interview that he did with Kevin Smith, I want to say maybe 5 years ago, or it may have been either right before or right after the acquisition by Disney, that he talked about, like, he would love to do a Star Wars film sometime, and he ended up getting to do one, which I thought was amazing. But I think if you can't get Rian Johnson for whatever reason, I think they need to go hard at Steven Spielberg. I think he would be the perfect name. He would be one, just like Ron Howard was for the Han Solo film. He would be that name that everybody's like, you know what? It's in good hands. It is in good hands, because Spielberg, he has some misses, absolutely, but he knows how important this franchise is, and he knows how important everything is. And it would almost be like getting George Lucas to do it, because don't get me wrong, George Lucas would be cool to have back as a director, but I don't think he's comfortable enough yet to come back into his universe that he created under different control. I think it would be weird for him to come in and try and get this vibe going when he's not the one that's saying, well, I want to do this, I want to do this, when the story group is actually be the ones that are telling him what to do. So the way I look at it is, yeah, it'd be cool to see George Lucas come back at some point. Maybe he will in the future. But right now, I think the best two choices are going to be Rian Johnson. Number one, that's the first person they need to try and get. And then number two would be Steven Spielberg. Again, maybe it's not possible. He's all in right now with Ready Player One. And, I mean, he's in the full marketing push, probably post-production with that. He may not get a chance depending on how his schedule works out. Who knows? We will see. Hopefully that would be really cool. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Look, everybody here, I know, we always talk on the podcast. If you listen to the podcast, I hope you do. Let's talk on the podcast about, we want to hear from you, because I really do. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to know what you think. I'm just a guy behind a computer screen, a microphone. What do I know? Well, I'm a huge fan, and that's all you need to be. You just need to be a huge fan, to be passionate about what you like, and just talk about it. There's no right or wrong. I mean, it's just having fun. So I want to hear what you think. I want to hear what your thoughts are on what is going on with Lucasfilm. Is Cathy Kennedy the right person for the job? Should she still be there? I'm not saying that she shouldn't be. I just want to hear what everybody else thinks. And who do you think should direct episode 9? Should it be Rian Johnson? Should we jump to conclusions that episode 8 is going to be so phenomenal that Rian Johnson hands down has to do 9? Or should they get somebody that's a bigger of a name and a more safe bet like Steven Spielberg? So let me know, let us know in the comments below. And remember, join our Facebook group, The Remote Control. You'll get everything, all the updates on Star Wars talk. You can join the discussion on any of the questions that we come up with and bring up, and just jump in and have some fun, because we want to make this about the listener, not just about me or Colton or whomever else we ever get on the podcast. So definitely, find us on Facebook, The Remote Control. You can like us or follow us, or find us in the Facebook group. You can also follow us on Twitter at The Remote Control. That's at The Remote, CONTRL. You can also email us at theremotecontrol@gmail.com. That's the remote, CNTRL.com. I know it's all weird. The O's, no O's, whatever it is. Sorry. Just the way that everything worked out. So we're doing our best here. I hope you enjoy what we bring to you on a weekly basis. Definitely check out our other podcast, The Remote Control, which we just dub it TRC, where we talk all things movies, video games, music, TV shows, that kind of stuff. And then, you can find us on Podbean and iTunes, Google Play Music and such. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Again, sorry about the bad lighting and horrible camera, because I'm just using my computer camera and my apartment and everything like that. But yeah, definitely follow us at some point in time. And, I will talk to you later, and may the Force be with you.
What you have planned.
Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Are you afraid? You.
You failed.